Hello again, it's me, Dave, and this is part 3 of Your Triggers Are Your Guides to Your Freedom. And I keep saying it, but the Mountain Is You book, get it, get it. It is such a quick read. You can do it in little chunks. It's just such an amazing tool to help bring some awareness to you, to open your mind, to liberate a lot of your thinking. But let's jump right in. The triggers being our guides to freedom. Today I want to talk about resentment, regret, and fear. These are 3 things that I have personally in the last, I'd say 2 or 3 years, really sat with and really spent time analyzing. What are my fears? What are my regrets? And the resentment piece has really been fundamental in changing the way I look at my relationships, whether that's with family or with partners, ex-partners, lovers, if you will. But let's start with resentment. When you're triggered by resentment, when you feel like you've been done wrong, or when you feel that someone is not showing up for you the way you feel they should, when you examine that, what does it say to you? What is that telling us? Resentment, I guess, is often when people don't live up to our expectations of, what we had in our minds, whether that's the way they're showing up in relationships, or if they've fallen short, they've hurt us, and that can come in a multitude of ways. But the poisonous thing about resentment, this negative feeling, why it triggers us, and if we hold on to it and don't deal with it, it becomes toxic for us because it turns to bitterness. It becomes festering, and really what it does is it closes down our heart. It closes down our ability to be open and accept love and what we deserve, the abundance and the good, healthy joy that is all around us. When we hold on to the resentment with a person, you can literally feel resentment is a wall. It is something that stands in front and it pushes a barrier between. For me, this has come in the form of my parents. Recently, with the election cycle and everything. In the first part of this, I talk about my dad and my relationship, how it's evolving with him. But the resentment piece, when he is not showing up for me the way I need, it's easy to step into that resentment of, you should know better. You should, do you hear it? Should. It's my projection of what he should be and how he should be showing up for me. But my dad supports this platform that is really toxic and destructive to my community. And it's destructive and gross, and not just my community, but to women and yada, yada, yada. So there's a few things to do with this. Just like they say forgiveness, you don't forgive for others, you forgive for yourself. It's to release that energy. It's so you don't have that. Same thing with resentment. When we resent someone, it's like a projected regret is how she kind of says it. But how I want you to think about this is people aren't entitled to show up for you the way you need them to or want them to. And that's the truth. You can't control anything. And people have free will, and they are their own individual sovereign selves. And so when someone hurts us, especially people in roles that we feel should be showing up for us, like our parents, our partners, the truth is, at the end of the day, we can only control ourselves, and our expectations, again, granted now, if you're in a relationship with a partner and they're not showing up for you, there's a crossroads there. There's something you need to sit with and you need to make choices about. But that's what the resentment is actually kind of triggering and teaching us how to show up and stand up for yourself, how to show up. Like anger tells us when we're being wrong or a boundary's been crossed. Resentment is the darker side of that, where it's gone too far. When you start to resent someone, a boundary's been crossed, but something's probably been let go longer than it should. Resentment in some ways is like a projected regret. Instead of trying to show us what we should change, it seems to want to tell us what other people should change, However, other people are under no obligation to live up to our ideas of them. In fact, our only problem is that we have an unrealistic expectation that someone was meant to be exactly as we think they should, or love us exactly as we imagine they would. What I'm trying to get around to is that we can't control people, we can't control life, and it's our expectations, these idealized versions of these people that we put out into the world, that, my father should show up like this for me. He is who he is, and I have no control over that. Maybe he's not able to. Maybe he's not able to be what I need him to be. So then I'm faced with, where do I go from here? That's what the trigger is supposed to be showing us. When we feel resentment, we need to stop and reevaluate, why am I feeling resentful? And the truth of it is, I can't control him. He is who he is, and I have to accept that for what it is. What I do with that is then on me. If say my father and that dynamic with him is hurting me, then I have to set a boundary to protect myself. So when I feel resentment, if I step back, it is actually calling me to action to put a boundary, kind of like anger, where I need to put myself in terms of this. Loving someone from afar is a healthy thing many times, and we forget that you can love someone but still not have to have them in your life, or you can love someone and keep them at a distance where they don't affect you, your energy. When we are faced with resentment, what we instead must do is reinvent our image of those around us and those we have perceived as having wronged us. Other people are not here to love us perfectly. They are here to teach us lessons to show us how to love them and ourselves better. That was powerful to me. This goes to the heart of the issue with resentment. When people don't meet our expectations, when they don't add up the way we wanted, one, examine, be objective, be curious, what was my expectation? Why is that expectation there for this person? My dad is just a man. He is just a man with his own shit, his own baggage. It is hard to get to this point, and there's a process of healing and grieving, and anger, grief, acceptance. There's a process to this, which is the healing we're doing for ourselves in that inner child. But at the end of the day, if I'm objective, this man is only tied to me because I'm his son. He had me biologically, and that's what drew our lives together. I would not be friends with this man if he was, anyone else other than this relation. So what are my expectations of what a father should be? What a father should do? What this father-son relationship should look like? That's what I want to explore. That's where the healing is. That's where I challenge and start to dig into the meat of, what is it saying about me, my needs? What do I need? What in this relationship dynamic that I'm projecting am I looking for that I'm not getting, that I feel I deserve, that I feel is necessary for me to be healthy and happy? That is where the healing is. And if he can't give that to me, then I have to give it to myself. I have to be that for myself. And that's the power. That's the untold wisdom out of all of this. Because once I start giving it to that inner child, to little Dave, then that's when I transform, that's when I change, that's when I heal, that's when I begin to grow and accept and make space for what I do deserve and what is meant for me. I just got goosebumps. He is just a man, and I have to accept that and meet him on his terms. Well, I should say, you don't have to meet them on their terms necessarily. I have to accept him for who he is and what he is and where he's at. But again, what does that mean for me? And the ball's in my court on how do I show up for myself now, knowing this. If I accept him for who he is and where he is, but what he is and who he is does not gel or resonate with who I am, then it's okay to love from afar, to put distance. I wish you well. I bless and release what doesn't bring me peace. That is one of my mantras, and it's that simple. I can love you, and I'm thankful for you and everything you've done for me, what you've brought into my life, the lessons you've come into this life. What does she say? Other people are not here to love us perfectly. They're here to teach us lessons, to show us how to love them, ourselves, and each other better, to love each other better. Sometimes it's not healthy to have that relationship in close proximity. So recently what I've done in my personal experience since the election, I've put space between us because it's healthier for me. It's self-preservation. It's protective. If he can't give me that, I have to honor who he is and where he's at. And this is often and comes in the form of friendships. People that suck our energy, that zap our strength and our vitality, whether we realize it or not. Sometimes when you hang out with someone and you leave their company and you feel worse off, when you feel more drained, that says everything. That says that you are giving your vitality it's not building you up. They're not pouring back into you. You should feel invigorated and rejuvenated, and you should feel stronger, happy, joy. You should feel peace after hanging out with people that build you up and edify you. And if that's not what you're getting in your relationships, let that be an energetic equation. That's the marker. That's the truth. Act on it. Those aren't the people you want in your life. Or someone makes you feel good. Those are the people you want in your life. Spend more time. Seek out people that build you up, So that can be with friends, but it also makes no difference with family. It makes, family, blood's thicker than water. No, toxic is toxic. Look at it as an energetic equation. So, food for thought. When we realize the ideas that we have about who they should be, we can see them for who they are and the role they are meant to play in our lives. Instead of focusing on how they should change, we can focus instead on how we can learn. And that's exactly what I'm trying to say, is after I accept who he is and where he's at, whether it gels with me or not, that's the information I need to make the next choice, the next move, where the relationship should evolve, how I'm going to treat the relationship, how I'm going to maneuver from there. The dynamics of the relationship are important for my safety, my health. I need to be conscious about who I allow into my space, into my energy field. So, resentment. Check out your resentments. What are your resentments saying? If you are resenting someone, first and foremost, why? Be curious. Dig into it, but let it go. Release it. Realize that we are not entitled to anything. We're not promised tomorrow is one of my favorite scriptures in the Bible. And I love that whole idea of really, we come into this world and we have free will and every choice is our own, from one moment to the next. And it's how we navigate and move through this life. Come what may, life doesn't owe us anything. It wants to bring you joy and abundance and love. But you have to call that to yourselves. You have to open to that. You have to accept it. And that works especially in our relationships. So just be mindful of that. If you resent someone, if you're holding on to something, unforgiveness with someone, examine that. Examine it and let it go. It's just not worth it. There's more. I love this parable, this Buddhist parable. If you're holding on to something, if you're grabbing on and you're angry and you're mad and you, again, resentful of someone who's done you wrong, and it can be anything from little to like you're a survivor of something. Like there's a whole gamut. But at the end of the day, if you hold on to it, it's only poisoning yourself. The moment you let go of that thing, you're open. Your hands are open to receive. And that works as a perfect metaphor for the energetic principles of the universe. If we make space, if we let go of this resentment, this anger, this fear, then we make space where all that space that it was taking up, we make space for it. We can welcome in more love, more joy, more abundance, more peace, the right relationships. It's infinite and it's so much more. And your life will be so much more than it was by holding on to something that was serving you no longer. So, regret. I, luckily, don't have a lot of regrets, and I think it's a lot of the way I live. Very carefree. That's just my personality type. I'm very air sign, very go with the wind, and let's see what life has to bring. And I do things. I try things. I'm very open to try things. But regret's one of those, we've all seen the movies and we've all read the book where, they're on their deathbed and, they're talking about their life and their accomplishments, but they always have that regret. They should have either, loved more, or they should have done more and tried the things they were afraid of. But literally, regret while we're living, when you have that trigger of regret, like, oh, I should have done that, it's telling you immediately you need to be doing it. Don't let this happen again. Don't let this opportunity pass you up. If you let a relationship go with someone that you know is good and you regret that, don't dwell on that relationship. You need to make peace and release that, let it go, but don't be there again. That's what regret's telling you. Don't make that same mistake. Learn from that lesson so that you don't let these amazing things in your life pass you by. If you regret not trying out for that job you could have done, that you should have shot for, don't be there again. Where in your life can you show up now not to make up for it, but at the same time to move yourself forward, like the life that you want, worthy of the life that you want. What'd she say about regret? Much like jealousy, regret is another way that we show ourselves not what we wish we could have done in the past, but what we absolutely need to create going forward. So regret comes with this sense of urgency. This is the life that you have now. This is the present. Don't be stuck in the past. Don't regret it. But what is the regret trying to teach you? What is it saying to us? The truth is most people regret what they did not do more than what they ever did. So it is rare to regret something you did. Do it now, ask for forgiveness later. But it's true. Like, it's usually, again, those stories, the people on their deathbed in the movie, it's always the things that they let go by them. But we hurt people. My personal experience over the summer, there was a relationship and it wasn't going the way it was supposed to. He was hiding things. I got a confirmation, but the way I ended it, I wasn't proud of. I regretted that. But the regret in that moment it was my greatest teacher in that whole experience, because it showed me who I was, how I reacted, why I was triggered, what triggered me, and then I could deal with it. And then I knew that's not who I want to be. This is who I want to be. This is who my highest version is. Where was that not aligning? And what do I need to do that? And it was the regret paired with the lesson is what is transformative for us in our soul's journey. So be mindful of that. When you regret something, what's the lesson in it so you don't find yourself in the same place? Double regret's even worse, right? The truth is most people regret what they did not do more than they ever regret what they did. This isn't a coincidence. Regret isn't actually trying to just make us feel bad that we didn't live up to our own expectations. It's trying to motivate us to live up to them going forward. It's trying to show us what is absolutely imperative to change in the future and what we really care about experiencing before we die. So mortality is definitely, there's a mortality piece with regret. So I have a feeling you don't have a lot of regrets, but if you are someone who deals with regret, you need to get to the bottom of that shit fast, because that means your soul is wanting to experience something that you've been denying it. If you regret something in your life, that could be closure with someone, that could be saying, making amends, saying you're sorry. That is the power. That's what your soul is craving. Regret is telling you what your soul needs. Listen to it, lean into it, examine it. Be objective with it too. Just be curious. Why are you regretting that? What's it really telling you need and want and desire? And go for it. The last one I want to talk about today is fear. She says chronic fear in here. And when I came out of my marriage, I'd say the last 5 years, fear had started creeping in slowly. And that came in a lot of ways. The pandemic just blew us all apart, right? I was very fearful about what I could, taking care of myself, basic needs. Me and my partner lost our job at the same time. So the income, taking care of ourselves, survival, literally. Fear of survival, basic survival needs. That was really intense. But it was the thought patterns that persisted after it, after things got back to normal, after we started working again, after we jumped through the hoops, we made it, we're survivors. And that is a piece I want to come back to, because fear is the false evidence appearing real, right? Fear is often what we're afraid of hasn't even manifested. It hasn't even come to fruition yet. We're projecting these ideas of what could have, what might have, what will potentially, and that's what keeps us paralyzed. That's what keeps us from moving forward and progress. Because again, everything is energetic, right? The universe operates based on energy. So if I am operating out of a space of fear, and that's that closed energetic space, if I am closing myself to opportunities and to not seeing the potential, the positive, the light all around me, what I do have rather than what I don't have or potentially might not have, that is an energetic headspace that will slowly just eat away at your life, at your peace, at your safety, at your security, at your self-confidence. There's just so many levels. So for me, last few years of my marriage, I became fearful. The marriage wasn't going the way I wanted. We started getting involved in things that we shouldn't have been involved in, that weren't healthy necessarily. Fear that, he was stepping out. Fear that our parties were getting a little too intense. But in fearing all that stuff, it really magnified that energy in my life. It really magnified what you fear, what you try and avoid is usually what you attract. The things that we're always, giving attention to, whether we're trying to avoid it, we're still giving attention to it in our minds, which calls more of it to us on an energetic level, which is such an irony. But what I want to really bring attention to is the fear that it's a mindset. Fear, mindset, that's the most insidious part of this, because then once you start thinking like this, it's a cycle. You start fearing, and then it's a hard cycle to break out of. When we are in a state of fearful thinking, it doesn't matter what we're afraid of. The thought process follows us from problem to problem. Often there's a metaphor encoded within it. For example, we may be afraid of the ultimate loss of control or some external force coming in and unraveling our progress. Coming from a house and a childhood of chaos, it's very hard for me to be at peace. Well, it was very hard for me to be at peace in my relationships, because seeing the relationships my parents modeled for me, the relationships in our family, there was always fighting, there was always chaos, there was always distrust, lying. So when I got into a relationship with my partner, I was always waiting for something to happen. It was that fear projecting. It's like the self-fulfilling prophecy. When you are looking for the shoe to drop, it's going to drop. It's going to drop because you're calling it to, you're manifesting. If you're looking for the bad, you're going to see the bad, whether it's there or not. And that's the thing, whether it's there or not. If you're always looking for him to cheat, if you're always scared that your partner's, doing something behind your back, and you start obsessing about it, it's classic psychology. It's going to push them in a direction that you don't want them to be in. That self-fulfilling prophecy of what we are afraid of, we actually draw more to us. Regardless, chronic fearful thinking often comes back down to the need to focus our energy and attention on a potential threat so we can protect ourselves from it. Again, this is how it manifested coming from a house of chaos. It's a control thing. When I'm thinking fearfully, I'm thinking that I want to think of all the ways and all the patterns and all the potential possibilities that could go wrong so that I might control them, right? It's an attempt to control what hasn't happened yet. The gag of it all is that really I have no control over so much of it. And I'm wasting so much of my energy on things that haven't even happened or aren't even real yet or won't be real, right? That haven't even manifested. So I put all this energy, I put all this intense energy out into these negative baseline emotions that have just drained me, depleted me, zapped me, taken me out of my authentic self, my authentic expression, my natural flow state, my natural flow of joy, peace, and that has a reverberation in my relationships and my actions and experiences in the world, because everything it's attracted to you, right? The law of attraction, I mean. So this attempt to control, which we have no real ability to do. You can't control what's going to happen tomorrow. I can wake up and I can go to work and I can do things to make sure that my world flows a certain way. But the reality is I have no control. God forbid a car crash or someone at work goes, insane and affects my job, or you never know. All I have is my choice in the present, in the now, in the moment. So fear is wasted energy. It keeps us bound and shackled to ourselves, in essence. We enslave ourselves. When we live in a state of fear, chronic fear, we make our mind a prisoner of the illusion. And there's such a power in letting it go and realizing that I can deal with it when it comes. And I know that sounds easier said than done, but that's the key. That's the get out of jail free card. You have to get yourself to a point where you say to yourself, if it happens, then I'll deal with it when it happens. I trust in myself enough to know that first off, nothing is going to be so bad that you won't survive it. And if you don't survive it, you don't survive it. So period. So, if there's something horrible, that's it. So you let go in peace in that. When my time comes, my time comes. But the truth is, if something awful comes, the worst case scenario of what you think, I don't even want to put it out there, but if you're thinking about diseases and horrible things happening to your loved ones, or you have to trust that your higher self, your future self, my sister says this and I love it, your future self will know what to do to help you and get you through what you need to get through when that time comes, if it comes. And that's the whole thing. So remember, remember you have what you need when you get there. I hate the saying, but it's true. Like, God never gives you, something you can't handle. It's true. Like, we are God in essence, God within us, the source within us. We have the ability. We're survivors. The nature of life is to grow and to thrive. If you lean into that emotion, that truth, that you have what it takes to take you where you need to go, to get through whatever it is, even if you, God forbid, your house catches on fire, which happened to me in my past, it is horrible. It's one of the worst things that can happen. You lose everything. Like, you're scattered. You literally into the wind. The family has no you don't know up from down, and you're just, people abandon you, and there's just so many levels to it. But I still got through it. Death. We always think this with death. How are we going to? And you don't know, but you do. You get through it. You get through it one step at a time, one day at a time, one action, one choice, one feeling at a time, making space for each feeling. And that's what it comes down with fear. When you are paralyzed by fear, literally you have to get yourself to a space and a thinking mindset of, even at the worst, I will get through it. And I know that I will make it through it. Nothing is going to destroy me. If you can start there, you can start to build your way out of this thinking. I really recommend therapy, finding a professional, finding someone who can help you. If that's a friend at first, find someone who can help you to get through this, to start talking you through this, to be a support system for you. This dominated so much of my life. When I went out on my own, I was dominated by my fears of everything that I could lose, everything that could possibly go wrong. Like, where's the money coming from? How am I going to support myself? Going from in a relationship to having to pay everything on my own. It's such a world transformation. It's such a complete chaotic upheaval, but I got through it. I did it. And now I'm here where I am today. And I know where I'm going to be later on. And that's the hope. That's the peace. I know if something comes down the road, I may not know in the moment, but I know I will know how to get through it when it comes, because I'll just do it. You do it. That's how it works. You just do it. You make it happen one step at a time. It's hard. And I'm not saying it's not going to be hard, but it is. Even at its worst, that should help you realize that you don't have to be afraid of anything. You're going to get through it. The very act of holding these fearful thoughts within our minds is exactly how fear is controlling us in the first place. It is derailing our lives right now because we are channeling our energy into something that is outside of our control, as opposing to using it for everything that it's actually within our control. The habits, actions, and behaviors that would actually move our lives forward. The only thing we have control over is our choice in the moment. And that is powerful. That is what moves life forward for us, for everything. Like, it is the choice in the present moment. All we have is the now, this moment. My next choice is up to me, and I can turn my life around. And there's a lot of layers to that, and it can go really deep if you sit with it. But we are our own saviors. We are the only ones who can save ourselves. My actions. I have a shirt that really pisses a lot of people off. I wore it to the parks when I went with family recently. But it's a bunch of people with like picket signs, and there's a skeleton in flames on the ground, like suffering, like it's like burned to death. But the people with the signs that says thoughts and prayers. And it's that whole idea of we are the ones who save ourselves. Thoughts and prayers, you can say, I'm praying for you, I'm sending you this, but at the end of the day, unless you act, unless you use action, you use your willpower, and that can be helping, showing up for your neighbor, but your neighbor's not always going to be there. We have to be the ones who show up for ourselves. We have to be the ones that transform ourselves from the inside to be where we want, to be the people that we want to be, to have the abundance and the life that we know we deserve. In this sense, what we're afraid of is really a projection of what's already happening. The only true way to get over chronic fear is actually to go through it. Instead of trying to battle, resist, and avoid what we cannot control, we can learn simply to shrug it off and say, if it happens, it happens. I know that sounds so much easier than it is. And sometimes, I want to be real honest here, there are chemical imbalances that we do need help with from time to time. At the beginning of my divorce, I needed some help. I needed, with depression, the chemicals. I was going through a rough time. There were chemicals in my brain that were missing through this whole experience, this complete dissolution of my marriage, my life as I knew it. Don't be ashamed. There's no shame in needing help from time to time. There's a biological side to all of this that you need to explore if you really, when you need help that is outside of you. And that can come in the form of therapy, but sometimes, again, it comes in the form of medication. There are just different body types that are missing certain naturally occurring chemicals. There's no shame in, if you go and get treated for any other part of your body, why would your mental health be any different? I just want to put that out there. So think about that, consider that. Those are intense scenarios, but I'm talking about more so the general little fears that we live with day to day that kind of dominate our mind slowly throughout the day, throughout the week, that add up over time, that actually steal our joy and our peace. If you can get yourself to a place to say, I will deal with it when it comes, that's where the power is. That's how you find that liberation piece. Whatever will be, it's fine. That's where I'll be. So what keeps the fire of fear raging is the idea that if we accept what we are afraid of, we are giving into the worst potential outcome. The truth is that when we stop being afraid of what we cannot control and know instead that nothing can possibly ruin our lives more than we are ruining it right now with our own negative thoughts, distracted thoughts, our irrational thoughts and thinking, it destroys our focus. That's when we're completely freed. When we release and realize that our negative thinking is doing the worst damage. If we can let go of that, that's what liberates us. When we are in full acceptance of what comes, I will be able to handle it when it gets here. Fear leaves our consciousness and becomes a non-issue. It's the illusion. It's the life zapper. It's the energy stealer. And I really just want to encourage you, if this is a trigger that you've been dealing with my fear has been one of the most difficult battles I've had in my life. And I say battle, but really it's the illusion. I was battling myself. And that's where it really hurts. And there's a shame piece that comes with that because I feel like I should know better. I feel I've wasted so much time worrying about what I can't control. But the truth is, facing my fear head on was the only way I could overcome it. It was the only way I could stand in my own power, realizing that when things happen, and for me, fear came in terms of like resources, money, how am I going to support myself? I come from a family that is very blue collar, so this mindset of lack, of not knowing where the next bill is going to get paid, not knowing how to make more money, it actually kept me from seeing the opportunities that were all around me, that the potential I had within me this whole time was just waiting to be activated. The fearful mindset of not knowing what was coming, of being afraid of what was coming tomorrow, paralyzed me. It kept me in this state of inertia that really destroyed a lot of my life. It wreaked havoc. And it took so much work. It took so much effort to get myself out, to climb out of this hole, but I did it. And I did use medications that helped me. I saw a professional and I went to my healthcare provider, working with my therapist in tandem. I got myself to a point where I was able to use medication for a while to help me get to a place where I could deal with it without the medication. I got to, it helped me build to a place where I was stable and I was standing on my own, and helped me get to a point in my job where I support the lifestyle I wanted, yada, yada, yada. What's the phrase? The mind is a beautiful servant, but a horrible master. If you feel you are constantly under the subjugation of these negative thoughts in your mind, I just want to challenge you to seek help, to find someone you can begin to talk with. Therapy is amazing. There's so many opportunities for therapy. Just wanted to examine some of these triggers that really teach us how to free ourselves. Our triggers are our shadows that help us build and grow into the life we want. They help us become aware of where we need to grow, our growth edge, what we really desire and what we want. And I just cannot stress enough how awesome this book is. I know I'm going to come back to it. The Mountain is You, Transforming Self-Sabotaging into Self-Mastery. Brianna Weist, I can't wait to do some more out of this book. I have highlighted the shit out of it, so get ready. You're going to get a lot from it. But anyway, so for the stream, I'm going to end it here, and hopefully I'll see you 333. I just saw 333 here, and I love that, and it makes me so happy. I know it was hearts, but I love you. Bye. I'll see you soon.